You don't overthink because you're weak. You overthink because some part of you refuses to let life be simple. And that is the problem. Because the more you think, the less you live. And the less you live, the more you think. Until one day, you realize you are no longer inside your life, only observing it, dissecting it, endlessly rewriting it in your mind like a story that never quite reaches its conclusion. You call it analysis. You call it awareness. But deep down, you know what it really is. You are trapped. And the strangest part is that you built the cage yourself. There is a man Dostoevsky once imagined, not as a character, but as a confession. A man who understood this exact condition, not from theory, but from experience so raw it bordered on madness. A man who could not act without questioning his own motives, who could not feel without immediately doubting the authenticity of the feeling. He did not suffer from ignorance. He suffered from too much consciousness. He would sit in silence and construct entire arguments against his own desires. He would want something and then immediately dismantle the wanting. He would love and then question the love until it collapsed under its own weight. And the terrifying thing is, you recognize him, because you have done the same. You replay conversations in your head long after they are over. Not just what you said, but what you should have said. Not just what they meant, but what they might have meant, and what that might imply about how they see you, and what that says about who you are. A simple moment becomes a labyrinth. Someone doesn't reply to your message, and suddenly, you are no longer in the present. You are constructing narratives. Maybe they're losing interest. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe they never liked you to begin with. Maybe you are fundamentally unlikable. And now you're not just thinking. You are spiraling. Not because of what happened, but because of what might have happened. This is the paradox. You think to gain control, but the more you think, the less control you have. And somewhere inside you there is a quiet awareness of this, a voice that says, "Stop, this is pointless." But you don't stop, because stopping would mean surrendering control, and you would rather suffer than surrender. Dostoevsky understood this too well. He once stood in front of a firing squad, convinced he was about to die. The final moment arrived, the countdown began, and just before the execution, he was spared. Imagine what that does to a mind. To stand on the edge of death, to feel the absolute finality of existence, and then be thrown back into life, not as a gift, but as a burden. After that, nothing is simple anymore. Life is no longer something you live, it becomes something you analyze. Every second becomes heavy. Every choice becomes loaded with meaning. Every thought becomes a question about existence itself. And this is where overthinking begins, not as a flaw, but as a reaction. A reaction to uncertainty, a reaction to freedom. Because freedom is not peaceful. It is terrifying. To choose means you could choose wrong. To act means you could regret. To love means you could lose. And so you hesitate. You delay. You think. Not because you don't know what to do, but because you are trying to eliminate the possibility of pain. But here is the deeper contradiction. You are already in pain. You feel it in the way you hesitate before sending a message. You feel it in the way you overanalyze someone's tone. You feel it in the way you can't fully enjoy anything without a voice in your head dissecting it. Even happiness is not safe. You laugh and then wonder if it's real. You feel close to someone and then question their intentions.
You succeed, and then convince yourself it won't last. You cannot even trust your own emotions. And so you retreat further into thought, because thought feels safer than reality.
In thought, you can simulate everything without risk. You can rehearse conversations. You can predict outcomes. You can prepare for rejection before it happens. But there is a cost. Because the more you live in simulation, the less you can tolerate reality. Reality is messy. Reality is uncertain. Reality does not follow your carefully constructed narratives. And so, when reality inevitably contradicts your thoughts, you think even more, trying to fix it, trying to understand it, trying to regain control. But control was never the goal. Control is just the excuse. What you are really doing is avoiding something deeper. Because overthinking is not about the situation. It is about you. There is a part of you that does not trust life. A part of you that does not trust others, and perhaps most importantly, a part of you that does not trust yourself. You don't trust your instincts. You don't trust your feelings. You don't trust your ability to handle whatever happens next. So you compensate. You think harder. You analyze more. You prepare for every possible outcome, as if somehow, if you think enough, you can eliminate uncertainty. But uncertainty is not the enemy. It is the condition of being alive. And this is where the underground man becomes unbearable to face. Because he knows all of this. He understands that his thinking is excessive. He understands that it is paralyzing him. He even mocks himself for it, and yet he continues. Not because he is incapable of stopping, but because he doesn't want to. Because there is something strangely comforting about overthinking. It gives you a sense of depth. It makes you feel different. It allows you to believe that your suffering has meaning. You are not just confused. You are complex. You are not just anxious. You are aware. And this belief is dangerous because it turns your prison into an identity. You begin to see your overthinking not as something to escape, but as something that defines you. I'm just like this. I can't help it. This is who I am. But is it? Or is it something you are choosing again and again without realizing it? There are moments when you could act without overthinking, moments when you know exactly what to say, moments when you feel something clearly and purely. But then, almost instinctively, you interrupt it, you question it, you step back from it, as if you are afraid of what would happen if you simply let yourself be. This is the deeper layer. You are not trapped in overthinking. You are protecting yourself with it. Because thinking creates distance. Distance from emotions. Distance from risk. Distance from vulnerability. As long as you are analyzing your feelings, you don't have to fully feel them. As long as you are questioning someone's intentions, you don't have to fully trust them. As long as you are planning every possible outcome, you don't have to face the reality that you cannot control what happens. And yet, this protection is slowly suffocating you. You feel it late at night when your mind refuses to stop. You feel it when you are with someone, but not fully present. You feel it when you realize that life is passing, and you are still thinking about how to live it. There is a quiet despair in this realization, not dramatic, not loud, just a subtle, persistent awareness that something is off, that you are missing something, that life is happening, but not quite reaching you. And this is where the paradox becomes unbearable, because the thing you use to protect yourself is the very thing that is isolating you. You think
to feel safe. But the more you think, the more disconnected you become from others, from reality, from yourself. And yet, you continue, because stopping feels like falling, like stepping into something unknown, like giving up the only tool you have ever trusted. But what if that tool was never meant to control life? What if it was only meant to navigate it? What if your mind is not supposed to eliminate uncertainty, but to move through it? This is where Dostoevsky becomes unsettling, because he does not offer comfort. He does not tell you to simply stop thinking. He does not promise clarity or peace. He reveals something much darker. That part of you does not want peace. That part of you chooses complexity. That part of you finds a strange satisfaction in your own suffering. You overthink not just because you are afraid, but because, in some twisted way, it gives you something. A sense of control, a sense of identity, a sense of depth, even if it costs you your ability to live. And so the question is no longer, how do I stop overthinking? The question becomes, why do I keep choosing it? Because until you confront that, nothing changes. You can try techniques, you can distract yourself, you can tell yourself to just relax. But the moment you are alone again, the thoughts return, because the root is still there. The need for control, the fear of uncertainty, the distrust of yourself, and perhaps something even deeper, a refusal to accept life as it is. Because life is not clean, it is not predictable, it does not wait for you to feel ready. And so you stand at the edge of it, thinking, analyzing, preparing, delaying, as if somehow one more thought will finally make everything clear. But clarity is not coming, because clarity is not the reward for thinking. It is the result of living. And living requires something you are trying to avoid: surrender. Not defeat, not passivity, but the willingness to step into uncertainty without guarantees, to act without knowing the outcome, to feel without analyzing the feeling, to trust without proof. And that is terrifying, because it means you can be hurt. It means you can be wrong. It means you can lose. But here's the truth you keep circling around without ever fully accepting. You are already losing. Every moment spent overthinking is a moment not lived.
Every decision delayed is a life postponed. Every emotion analyzed is a feeling diluted. And so you remain in this strange state, not fully alive, not fully at peace, just thinking, endlessly, as if your mind is searching for an answer that does not exist. And maybe that is the final contradiction. You believe that if you think enough, you will finally feel certain. But what if certainty is not something you find? What if it is something you create by acting despite the uncertainty? What if the life you are waiting to understand is the one you are refusing to live? And so you sit there inside your own mind, watching your life unfold like a distant story, analyzing it, questioning it, rewriting it, but never fully entering it. And the question that remains, the one you keep avoiding, is not whether you can stop overthinking, but whether you are willing to let go of the illusion that thinking will save you. Because if it hasn't by now, why do you still believe it will?